Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to my VR online Nihongo Engo course or online Japanese N5 course. Our topic for today, or our lesson for today is Watashi wa gakusei desu. 第1課、私は学生です。Or Lesson 1, I am a student. Okay, before we start, I highly recommend that you read first the vocabulary list I uploaded in our Google Drive folder before you watch this video so that you're already familiar with the words that we're going to use in this lesson. In that case, let's start our first lesson. それじゃ、始めましょう。So for the goal of this lesson, レッスン目標。初対面の挨拶ができる or learn the basic greetings when meeting somebody for the first time. 基本的な返答ができる learn the basic replies. ですの使い方 or how to use this. In this lesson, we will learn some basic grammar points, and by the end of this lesson, you should be able to introduce yourself in Japanese. So our first grammar key point is the N1 wa N2 des. N1 wa N2 des, or it means N1 is N2. Okay, so what is N1 wa N2 des? So here, we have our N2 des. So N1, we will not read the description, so just read it and then I'll just explain. N1 wa N2 des. N1 here refers to the topic of the sentence. The wa or the character ha, pronounced as wa, is a particle. So what is a particle? In Nihongo, there is a term called particle. So this particle has no meaning or a counterpart word in English, but when you see it in a sentence, or when you see, for example, this particle in a sentence, it has or it serves a purpose. So this particle serves as the topic marker. Okay, so I introduce you to your first particle, wa. This is the topic marker. Then N2, it is the description about the N1, or it describes N1. Okay, and then des. Des here is an auxiliary verb and has the same meaning as be or is in English. So des is an auxiliary verb or be verb in English, which are is, are, and am. So that's the des. But also there's another use of des. So when your sentence ends with this, it shows politeness toward the listener. Because in Japanese, there's a formal and a casual way of talking. So here, N1 wa N2 is already grammatically correct if you're talking with a friend or someone you're close with. But your sentence should always end with this when you're talking with you're talking with strangers or people you will meet for the first time. So that's the purpose. That's another purpose of this. Okay, for this course, of course, we will practice using this all the time. Okay, so again, the first sentence pattern that you should remember is N1 wa N2 des, because this N1 wa N2 des is the foundation, is like the foundation before you become really good in constructing sentences in Nihongo. And also because we will use this all throughout this course. So again, N1 is the topic. So how will you know that this is the topic? If wa or particle wa is placed after the N1, and then N2 describes N1. N2, so here it says that N refers to the noun, but N2 or N1, no, N2 can also be adjectives, verbs. So, but we will just focus on the nouns today or in this lesson. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of this sentence structure N1 wa N2 des. So for the first example, we have watashi wa kim desu or watashi wa kim desu. Okay, again, this lesson is all about self-introduction. So the first thing you would say aside the basic greetings is introducing yourself. Here in the first example, watashi, if you check the vocabulary list of this lesson, you would already know that watashi translates as I in English. So watashi is I. And then this kim is a name, but for the names, especially foreign names, they are always written in katakana. So maybe if you're not familiar with katakana yet, you won't be able to read this word or this name. But again, foreign names are usually written in katakana, so maybe you should practice writing your name in katakana for you to be familiarized with it. Okay, and then so this kimu is Kim, so it's a name. And then following the pattern N1 wa N2 des, I can simply say that it translates or it has the same meaning as I am Kim. So M here is the V verb or the des. This is des, and then I am Kim. So also saying watashi wa Kim des sounds polite, but you can also say watashi wa Kim without the des, but it's quite rude, especially for someone you will meet for the first time. So always ends your sentence with des. Okay, always ends your sentence with des. Watashi wa Kim desu. So if you want to introduce yourself, just replace the N2 with your name. Watashi wa something something desu. Okay? There's another way of saying your name, but we won't discuss it in this lesson, so maybe we will encounter it on the future lessons, but for today, this is the proper way of saying or introducing yourself. I am Kim. Okay, for the next example, another example is Watashi wa Philippine jin desu. So, watashi wa Philippine jin desu. From the first example, you've learned that watashi means I. Watashi means I. Now, what is Philippine jin? Philippine jin. Philippines in Japanese is Philippine. So when you put the suffix, this is a suffix, when you put the suffix jin to a country's name, then it will become its like country's nationality or country's people's nationality. So Philippines or Philippine plus jin, Philippine jin means Filipino. Okay? So you're saying here that, or I'm saying here that I am a Filipino or I am Filipino. Watashi wa Philippine jin desu. Again, if you notice that it still follows the N1 and 2, N1 wa and 2 desu pattern. So N1 wa, N1 is my topic, so N1 is watashi, I am the topic, wa is the topic marker. So I know that watashi is the topic because wa is placed after it. And then N2 is my description about myself. So I'm saying that I am Filipino, watashi wa Philippine jin desu. So desu is again the auxiliary verb am, and also it shows politeness when I end my sentence with desu. Okay? So for the third example, let's use another topic. Tanaka-san. Tanaka-san wa gakusei desu. So again, N1 wa, N2 desu. Now, let's translate it in English. Tanaka-san wa gakusei desu. Or Mr. or Miss Tanaka is a student. So, we know that Tanaka is a name or a surname. And then when you put san, so san is another suffix, but it's like honorific for this name, no? So you're saying that Mr. So you don't know if Miss San, Tanaka-san is a man or a woman. So we will just use Mr. or Miss here, and then Tanaka, the surname. Again, des is the verb. So we have here a singular subject, which means in English this is. So Mr. and Miss Tanaka, Mr. or Miss Tanaka is gakusei in English. Gakusei. So please remember this because this is very common word, or we will encounter this a lot in this course. So gakusei. Gakusei, actually it is written in kanji, but for this lesson it is written in hiragana. So gakusei is student. Okay, so gakusei. This Mr. or Miss Tanaka is a student. Now, if you notice, the name Tanaka is not written in katakana because, again, foreign names are usually written in katakana, and then for this Japanese surname, usually it's written in kanji. But again, for now, for you to be able to read it, it is just written in hiragana for this lesson. But actually, the correct writing of this Japanese surname is in kanji. Okay, so again, the N1 and 2 des pattern. N1 is my topic. So Tanaka-san is my topic. The topic marker wa, the particle wa. N2, so my description about Tanaka-san is she or he is a student. So N2 is student, gakse, and then des to sound polite. So N1 wa, N2 des, Mr. or Miss Tanaka is a student. Okay, so now that's it for N1 wa, N2 des. Sorry, ja. For the negative form of our first sentence structure or pattern, we have here the N1 wa, N2 de wa or ja arimasen. Because N1 wa, N2 des is a present affirmative or affirmative sentence. So this is present affirmative sentence. Now, how to negate something, no? How to say N1 is not N2. Okay, how to say N1 is not N2. So instead of this, you will replace this with dewa arimasen. Okay, this is the formal way of saying N1 is not N2. But if you don't want to sound too formal, you can say in a casual conversation or conversations that N1 wa, N2 ja. So ja, simply ja arimasen. It still has the same meaning as the N1 wa, dewa arimasen, but dewa is more formal and then ja is more casual. Okay, so again, we have here our sentence foundations, the N1 wa, N2 des. To negate a sentence or to say N1 is not N2, we will replace des with dewa arimasen. Okay, for example, here, watashi wa Jin dewa arimasen, Philippine jin des. So let's go back. Watashi, again, you already know that watashi is I and Philippine jin is Filipino. So I'll just copy this. Watashi is I, Philippine jin is a Filipino. So what is jin? If you don't have, or if you have no idea what jin means, so chugoku, first, we know that if a word or this word ends with jin, so we know that this is nationality because the suffix jin is for country's people. So what now, you just have to look for the meaning of chugoku. So chugoku is, in English, is Chinese. Okay, or China. So sorry, China. Chugoku is China. So same with Nihon or Japan and Kankoku, Korea. Okay, so we have here our like main countries: Nihon, Japan, Korea, Kankoku. Let's write it in Kankoku. Okay. So if you notice that the correct writing of these words are actually again in kanji, but we will not discuss it for today's lesson. So maybe in like lesson 10, or yeah, when we are already memorizing kanji. But for today, so Kankoku, or I'm not writing in, is Korea. Okay? Kankoku is Korea. And then Chugoku, Chugoku. So it has this kanji. And then Nihon. And then Kankoku. Okay. These are the actual kanjis of these countries. Okay, let's go back with Chugoku. So Chugoku is China. Now, how to say Chinese? So just add chin at the end of this country's name. Chugoku Jin is Chinese. So here we still have our N1 wa, N2, but for this sentence structure we replaced des with dewa or ja arimasen. So here in this case is dewa arimasen. So watashi wa Chugoku jin dewa arimasen means I am not Chinese. And then I have here my second sentence or phrase that Philippine jin des. So we already know that Philippine jin is Filipino, and then des is a positive sentence. So we know, so this sentence ends with des. So we know that this is a positive sentence. Watashi wa Chugoku jin dewa arimasen is I am not Chinese. And then even though we omitted the subject here, so even though the subject is omitted, the watashi is omitted, it still means I, because we know that the subject, we know from the first phrase that the subject is watashi. So we omitted it, and then the second sentence, I am not Chinese, I am Filipino. Right? Watashi wa Chugoku jin dewa arimasen. N1 wa N2 dewa arimasen. Philippine jin des. So N1 wa is omitted, N2 des. Okay? We have here two sentence structures. Next. Watashi wa gakusei dewa arimasen. Okay. This is a very simple sample lang, no? Okay, so watashi again is I, and gakusei is student. Watashi is I, gakusei is student. But here you are saying dewa arimasen. So watashi wa gakusei dewa arimasen. I am not a student. So that is N1 wa, N2 dewa arimasen. So here you can also say watashi wa ja, or watashi wa gakusei ja arimasen. So it also means I am not a student, but in like a more casual way, so less formal. Watashi wa gakusei ja arimasen. So again, that's the sentence structure for present negative sentence. Okay? For the third example, we have ano kata wa isha dewa arimasen kaisha in des. So from our vocabulary list, we know that anokata means that person, and then isha is doctor, and kaishain, okay, so guess it, kaishain is company employee. Okay, so anokata wa isha de wa arimasen. Kaishain desu. Again, there's two sentences. First sentence is you're saying anokata, that person, wa. So that person is our topic. Wa is the topic marker. Isha is our description. So isha is the description about the N1. So dewa arimasen is your negating. So you're saying that that person is not a doctor. Then we have our second sentence. Again, the subject is omitted. So N1 and also the wa. N1 and wa are omitted here. So kaishain desu, N2 desu. Okay? So kaishain is company employee. So you're saying that this person or that person is a company employee. So anokata wa isha de wa arimasen, kaishain desu. Or that person is not a doctor. He is a company employee. Okay? So here, we have the subject he, but since anokata is like a more general, we don't know if it's again a man or a woman, so we will just assume that it's a man. He is a company employee. Okay, so now we're here in our third grammar point. So, how to make question sentences in Japanese? It's very simple. Again, go back to the foundation, our sentence foundation, the N1 wa N2 des. To make this a question, to make an interrogative sentence, you just have to put ka at the end of the first pattern or the first sentence pattern. So, N1 wa, N2 des. But you want to make it a question, you will just add the particle ka. Okay, so now we have our second particle, the particle ka. So, N1 wa, N2 desu ka is N1, N2. That's the translation. So, the particle ka is used to express doubt, uncertainty, or hesitation for the speaker. So, ka also has like another use. So, sometimes in Japanese sentences, you will notice that they don't use question mark on the end at the end of their sentences, because when their sentence ends with desu ka, it automatically like means or look like that there's a question mark at the end of their sentences. Okay, so desu ka, that's also one of the uses of this particle ka. So again, N1 wa, N2 desu ka. If you want to express doubt, uncertainty, or hesitation, or just want to ask questions. And then it usually ends with a rising intonation. So N1 wa, N1 wa, N2 desu ka. Okay, so not flat intonation na. N1 wa, N2 desu ka. So it's not a statement, it's a question. So there's a rising intonation. N1 wa, N2 desu ka, or is N1 N2? Okay? Sorry, ja. For our sample sentences, we have here anokata wa Donata desu ka? So, because this is a question sentences structure, you will encounter question words or interrogative words. So, here we have our first W, the who. So, who in Japanese is donata. Okay, let's put the hiragana first. Ano kata wa donata desu ka? So, donata means who in Japanese. There's also another word that's used, the dare. So, dare, you will usually hear this in some animes or Japanese like movies or Japanese shows, because this is again the casual way of asking who. So dare, and donata is the more formal way. Okay, so but it has the same meaning, who. They both have the same meaning. So ano kata, we know that ano kata is that person. So and this desu ka means you're asking a question. So is that person who? So who is that person? Okay? So who is that person? You're asking a question. Who is that person? But in a very polite way, because you use donata. If you want to ask a question in a more casual way, you can say ano hito wa? Ano hito? So hito also means person. Dare desu ka? Ano hito wa? Dare desu ka? So this is the more casual way of asking who is that person. Again, their sentences don't have to, or their sentence doesn't have to end with question mark, because desu ka already has the meaning that this ends with this is a question sentence or an interrogative sentence. Okay, who is that person? For the second sample, anata wa. If you can't read this, so just try to look for it, for this word in our vocabulary list. But this is read as engineer. So anata wa engineer desu ka? Anata wa engineer desu ka? So maybe you already have an idea what engineer means in English. So we know that watashi is I. Now for the anata, if you look in our vocabulary list, you will know that anata is you. So you, wa is the or anata is the topic. It is the N1. Wa is the topic marker. So we still have our the foundation. So N1 wa, N2 des, anata wa engineer des. But you have got the end. So anata wa engineer des, anata wa engineer desu ka? So again, what is engineer? Engineer. So it is written like this. Engineer is written in katakana, but it also means engineer. So here, you, engineer, are you, or are you an engineer? So you're asking if, or this sentence means, are you an engineer? And by the way, since this is a question sentence, now you can use the basic replies. You can answer with the basic replies, yes or no. So yes or no. Now, what is yes in Japanese? Yes is hai, hai, and no is iie, iie. So that is yes and no. So if we will write it in Japanese or in hiragana, hai and iie. Okay? So just be careful with pronouncing the word iie or the no, because if you pronounce it as iie, if you pronounce it too short, you will pronounce it as iie, which has a meaning. Yeah. So this means house. So just be careful with pronouncing iye and iye, 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 iye. Okay? So the right pronunciation is iye and hai. Okay? So Reja, again, you can answer with yes or no. So if someone is asking you, "Anata wa engineer desu ka?" you can answer with hai. So we will go back to our two sentence structure. So you can answer with hai and one wa and two des, or hai engineer des. We will omit the and one wa. So and two des, or iye, the second sentence structure, and to dewa or ja arimasen. Okay? So let's try. Anata wa engineer desu ka? Hai, engineer desu. Or iie, engineer de wa arimasen. Or engineer ja arimasen. Okay? So that's it for our N1 wa N2 desu ka. So for the last example, are you an engineer? Hai, engineer desu. Or iie, engineer ja arimasen. Or engineer de wa arimasen. Okay? For our third example, Philippine wa atsui desu ka? Philippine wa atsui desu ka? Again, like what I said, that N2 can also be adjective, can also be verb. So here we have an adjective, atsui. So atsui is hot in our vocabulary list. It means hot. Atsui. So here we have our country, Philippines. And then wa is the topic marker. So our topic is Philippine. Wa is the topic marker. So we're asking here, because it ends with desu ka, if Philippines is hot. So is Philippines hot? Is Philippines hot? So this sentence seems off, but after this lesson, you will learn I think more correct way of constructing this sentence with adjectives. But for now, Philippine wa atsui desu ka? Is Philippines hot? Okay? So N1 wa, N2 desu ka? So that's it for our third sentence structure. So Reja. Now, so we already have our present affirmative, and then for this two, it is the present negative, Now, how about the past? affirmative. If you want to say N1, so how about you want to say N1 was N2, okay? So let's go back with our sentence foundation or grammar foundation. The N1 wa N2 des. N1 wa N2 des. So I told you that we will use this all throughout this course because it's like the foundation of all the grammar structures or sentence structures. Now, let's just replace this des with deshta. Now we have a past affirmative sentence structure. Okay? N1 wa, N2 deshta. Past affirmative. So, if des is R or M, so since deshta is past affirmative, now we have we will just put this here, no? So des is R or M. Dewa arimasen. Am I right? I think it's like this. Dewa arimasen is not or isn't or aren't. For the was or were, we have the deshta. Okay, deshta. This is was or were in English. Okay, now we have the deshta, was or were. For example, watashi wa gakusei deshita or gakusei deshita. Watashi wa gakusei deshita. Okay, so we already know the translation of these words. We will just replace. So we have an example like this earlier, but in watashi wa gakusei desu, so it means I am a student. Now, how will you say it in past tense? So I was a student. Watashi wa gakusei deshita. That's it. Watashi wa gakusei deshita. I was a student. Next, watashi no tomodachi wa engineer deshita. Okay, now we have our, I think this is our third particle, the particle no. So no is a possessive particle, or it indicates possession. Now we have our subject watashi no and then tomodachi. So tomodachi is a very common word. I think you already know the meaning of tomodachi. So tomodachi is friend in English. Now there's a particle no in between the watashi and tomodachi because it indicates that this friend is my friend. Okay, this, instead of tomodachi, it will become, instead of I, it will become my friend. That's the purpose of the particle no. Watashi no tomodachi, or my friend, wa engineer deshita. So my friend, since this is deshita, it is in a past tense. So watashi wa, my friend, was an engineer. Watashi no tomodachi wa engineer deshita, or my friend was an engineer. Okay? For the next, it's already the last example. Okay, Yamada-san wa isha deshita. Yamada-san wa isha deshita. Again, Yamada is a Japanese surname, so it's not written in katakana, but there is a kanji writing for this Japanese surname Yamada. But for now, it is written in hiragana, and then the honorific san, because we want to be polite, so we're saying Yamada-san. We can just say Yamada. It's a very casual and polite way. So, Yamada-san, Mr. or Miss Yamada, wa isha deshita. So, you're saying that Mr. Yamada, deshita is was, so was a doctor. Yamada-san wa isha deshita.